everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special guest and it's really going to be focused on her. A long time ago, I actually didn't know she would be speaking on this topic, but a long time ago when the Holy Spirit gave me a lot of topics to talk about, one of them was abuse. And mine, I'm not going to downplay any type of abuse, but I didn't really know how to express it on my channel. But this girl, her name is Destiny. She knows a heck full, and she's just going to just talk. Whatever she is led to say, she will just go ahead and say, and I hopefully you guys will learn from it. And also, go ahead and already give this video 2 thumbs up. Share it. Like it, all that good stuff. Comment below, have a discussion, do whatever it needs. That if you feel like it touched you in any type of way, if you know any other women going through whatever it is, share it with them, because I feel like whatever Destiny has to say is going to be good. And I am going to get out the way and just let her have my channel. So, Destiny, everybody.
Hey guys. Gosh, that's such
You could sit in the middle.
big shoes to fill.
Start off by like talking about what is abuse to you, and like how are you affected by abuse and how you overcome, so all of that in one.
Okay. I think abuse can be looked at in multiple ways. I think when we hear the word abuse, we automatically jump to one of the, and I'm not going to say more extreme, any type of abuse is wrong. It shouldn't be tolerated, but I think we usually go straight to physical abuse, and we forget that there's also a way to be emotionally abused, and of course sexual abuse as well. And I think to me kind of falls under physical, so whether somebody is hitting you, kicking you, punching you, putting their hands on you, pushing you around, or they're physically touching you in a way that you don't want to be touched, or they're talking to you in a way that makes you feel belittled, that intimidates you. Intimidation is real. That is that manipulates you. All those things are forms of abuse. I think the one that we downplay most in society is mental or emotional abuse. We say, well, your self-esteem, that only depends on you. Just other things that we say that kind of just makes light of emotional or mental abuse, however you want to refer to it. I think in my earlier life, that was more so what I encountered. It followed me into adulthood, even at a young age, being called fat or different names. And I guess depending on who does it, I think now we have terms for it like bullying or stuff like that. If it's people outside of your family or in school that might call you names, or make you feel small, or make you feel afraid. And then just growing up in the household, my biological father wasn't in the home. I had a stepfather in the home, and then even as I grew up there, just different things that were said to me. Some of the things that I would most notably remember being told was that, and I'm not going to use the curse word, but I was basically going to paraphrase that, being told that I'm nothing, I'm never going to be anything, I'm never going to amount to anything, that my father doesn't want me, just different stuff that would make me feel unworthy of love, that would make me feel unwanted, things that would even affect the way that now in adulthood that I even relate to other men. It showed up, those types of comments and different stuff like that not only showed up in my self-worth and my self-esteem, but it also showed up in my interaction with men to this day, and how I deal with them, how I see them, and just how I relate to them. Even in relationships, I think it hits differently when you have someone that you love, or that you're supposed to hold in a high esteem, to say things to you that are hurtful like that. So even in relationships, I had someone who would say, yeah, I love you, but then when they're upset, they would call me out of my name, or tell me that I was fat or ugly, or, oh, well, you're a hoe, you're always going to be a hoe, and that's why that's why the only reason why guys talk to you is because of they want to have sex with you, or just different stuff. I think a couple of years back, I ended up finding a letter that I kept, which was crazy, for years. I had from a guy that I was dating in middle school. It's actually the person I lost my virginity to, and it had like so much mean stuff I don't even know why I even kept it, but it was some of those things like, well, only reason guys talk to you is because they want to have sex with you, and you're a hoe, and you've been passed around, just all kind of stuff. Just repeatedly, no matter how strong you might think you are as a person, anybody being repeatedly exposed to those types of comments, especially if it's over a long span of time, and not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to be said to you over a long span of time to be what could be considered as abuse, but I think it's even more damaging when you're going through a long period of time hearing those same types of comments over and over. And quite frankly, the more you hear certain comments being made to you, especially if they're similar comments, the more you kind of start to believe it, and you don't see beyond that. And I think a lot of people kind of downplay words. I know when we're in, a lot of people when we were in elementary school and stuff like that, oh, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, and that's not true at all. Words can hurt, words do hurt. I think as a society as a whole, and just with ourselves, we have to be honest about the fact that we have feelings, and certain things that people say to us do hurt, and that not only do we need to acknowledge that for ourselves, but we have to be strong enough to stand up to other people. And you don't have to do it in a negative way, like cursing anybody out or calling anybody out of their name or being rude to anybody to get your point across to say, hey, you're saying this, and it hurts. And if you have that type of conversation with someone and they don't value you enough to change their behavior, that's probably someone that you don't necessarily need to have in your life. And when it comes to family, sometimes that's easier said than done, especially if you are an adolescent or you're in an age group where you can't physically remove yourself from the situation.
What personal trauma have you been through that was like your breaking point to wanting to overcome the abuse, if you don't mind sharing?
Like physical,
anything,
emotional,
whatever you feel like you're choosing to share.
My main moment where I felt like I had had enough, just even over the years and over time, was in May 26, 2012. I was date raped, and I felt like I already had a negative image of men, just from the different types of demeaning comments that had been made to me over the years in my household, in the form of my stepfather, the way he would associate with me, and then just even feeling, I think even some of the things that my biological dad did was borderline abusive, to the effect of him basically popping into my life in and out whenever he wanted to without an explanation. And I feel like even that is abusive, because you always are wondering when that person's going to disappear, when they're going to come back. But I said all that to say just all those different trends over the years, they already, in conjunction with bad relationships on top of that, because I didn't value myself, that already made me have a negative association with men in general. But after I was sexually assaulted, that just took away all the hope that I had left, because prior to me being assaulted, I felt like maybe it was just the men who were in my life in a family aspect that maybe I didn't click with, but I still had a desire to be in romantic relationship, and to be loved. And I still had the mindset that, okay, this is limited to these people that I know in my life and in my family, but I can still meet somebody. I can still meet other men who are not like this. I can still fall in love, and it can be different. And then I think after I was assaulted, that just kind of killed everything for me. At that point, I didn't really want to deal with any men at all. And over the past few years, in 2015, I had an encounter with God where I kind of just ran to the end of myself, because I felt the way I felt about men. I put myself, after I was sexually assaulted, I put myself in a lot of situations where I wanted to demean them the way that I felt that they had demeaned me. So whether it was being sexually manipulative, I did that a lot. Not only was I sexually manipulative, I was just like cruel. Like I didn't care. I didn't think men as a whole cared about my feelings or who I was. I didn't think there were any such thing as a good man. And so because I felt that way, I just kind of felt that all men were trash and kind of did whatever I wanted to do with them. And then it wasn't until 2015 where I really started to build a relationship with God. Like I feel like I was always saved, but 2015 was when I really wanted to have an actual relationship with Christ. And through that relationship, up until even now, I'm still trying to overcome some of the negative associations that I have with just men as a whole. I think now I'm on this point in my journey where I no longer feel like all men are bad and there's no such thing as a good man, but I think I struggle with personalizing that, saying that I attract men who are going to be good to me. So I'm no longer at the point where I feel like good men don't exist. I know there are great godly men in the world, and now it's taking that a step further and trying to figure out how do I encounter them and how do I build healthy relationships with them, whether they're platonic friendships or I want to be married. So how do I get to the point where I'm not carrying all of this into a marriage?
So how would you encourage someone that's in your same position? Like in a sense they've been through what you've been through already. And they're done with Christ, they're done with themselves, they're just done with life.
The first thing I would say is if you give up on Christ, there is no reason for hope. Christ is the only reason for joy. Christ is the only reason for peace. Christ is the only reason for hope. He's the only reason for healing. You cannot do it by yourself. So if you're even in a place where you've given up on Jesus altogether, the first thing is to kind of heal that. And for me, when I was at that point where I said I give up on Jesus and everything, this is too hard, I can't do it, I understood that my frustration was misguided. I was mad at God because I understood that, God, you're all knowing, you're all powerful. Why did you let these things happen to me? And because I didn't always I didn't have the answers to everything, it made me become angry. So the first thing is to understand that without Christ, you will not have life and you won't have it more abundantly. That's what he died for. So that we would have the ability to be healed, that we would have the ability to be whole, that we would have the ability to have peace that passes all understanding, all these things. And without him, we don't have access to that. And we're like everybody else in the world who has no hope. But once you get to that realization, and I don't even think you can get to that realization without admitting what it is that even makes you feel like you want to give up on God or you have given up on God. Number one, be honest with yourself about that. And number two, be honest with him about it. Because he knows already anyway. And one thing that I always say is that you can't confront what you don't confess. Confession is going to be a big part of anything. That's how you feel about Christ. That's how you feel about the things you've gone through. I'm the type of person where I've held a lot of stuff in, and it makes me afraid to want to address those things because I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know if it's going to take me to a dark place that I fought hard to try to dig myself out of. The fear of the unknown. So in order to even be able to get to the place where you want to heal, you got to be able to, once you come to terms with how you feel with Christ, it's going to all start with confession so you can be able to confront it. Heal with Christ first, and then you're going to need to be able to go down that road to start trying to get to the root of some of those issues. And you cannot do it alone. You got to have community. I'm the type of person, I have to have it because I'll shrink back in fear. And so I have good people in my life, Nicaise one included, who really just try to push me when I feel like shutting down, or press me to go a little bit deeper when I don't necessarily want to, and a lot of times that's just because of fear.
Alright, then. I look crazy. Skirt almost showed, man. Can't be showing this. Any last words?
Anyone who's dealing with any type of abuse,
Look at the camera.
hey guys, sorry. Anybody who's dealing with any type of abuse, the first thing I want you to know is that you're not alone. There's so many other people who have gone through the same types of things, and we know that every person's situation is not going to be exactly the same, but there's plenty of people who've gone through similar situations, and the only way that you're going to receive freedom and receive power is to be honest, to confess, to speak out about what you're dealing with. One of the main things that I said after I was assaulted was, okay, I have the right to remain silent, but it's my duty and responsibility to speak up, because the only way that somebody can use something against you if you don't speak about it, and that's how a lot of people who are abusers get away with stuff.
Also, to just know that anything that happened to you was not your fault.
Nope.
At all.
I don't care what you had on. I don't care what you said. You never deserve to get smacked around. You never deserve to get talked back to. You don't deserve for someone to put their hands on you in any type of way that you don't want. It's nothing that you've ever done that gives somebody the right to violate you. So I'm glad you even said that in the case. I think a lot of people, no matter what type of abuse they're dealing with, the abuser's way of gaining power is to make you feel like you put yourself in a situation so that you can keep yourself in the situation.
Yeah.
So that long after I don't have to smack you anymore to make you submissive. You've already become so afraid of me that you're not even gonna fight anymore, or you're not gonna try to leave because I've already broken your willpower. Or you're not gonna think I don't have to keep telling you you're worthless. I've already made you believe that you're worthless. So now I don't have to say it, and you'll go around and continue to act worthless. So that's why an abuser, no matter what type of abuser they are, they can go on for years and be on with their life, living fine, and you're still left dealing with the baggage if you don't let it go.
Let it go, let God, and I know people have very short attention span, so we're going to cut the video. And there's going to be a part 2 to this video, and we'll see how that all goes. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you all for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Remember, I love you, but Jesus loves you most. Peace.